What's going on, guys? Right, my teacher in the house, and I am here with the next installment of my What If I Was in a Gen series. Today we're looking at Generation 6 and the Kalos region. Gonna be a very interesting one, looking at X and Y. We're not gonna look at a Mega Ruby now for Sapphire because those are remakes, so those will count in the Hoenn series, so feel free to check that out, as well as all the other previous ones before. But let's talk about Generation 6, because Generation 6 brought about quite a lot of changes to the game. We saw a lot of things like Mega Evolution become a thing. We've seen quite a lot of really powerful stuff come in this game. Mega, of course, being the gimmick of choice. We didn't have a huge roster of new Pokemon. We did have a few very nice new moves in the game, but not really too much, in all honesty. Obviously, there were certain things like the weather getting nerfed, which definitely changed the way we play the game a little bit. But nonetheless, definitely a fun time. But we are going to look at Generation 6. And quite honestly, I think Generation 6, much like Generation 5, was kind of disappointing for gym leaders. Like, the first two gyms having 2 Pokemon each wasn't the biggest deal to me. It kind of sucked that the gym leaders only had 2 Pokemon each, but the rest of the gym leaders only had 3. So, picking a person or a character I would replace in this, I was kind of spoiled for choice in a lot of ways, because I could have picked any single one of those gym leaders, or even the Elite Four. Like, the Elite Four only had 4 Pokemon each. Right, the only trainer that had a full team in the entire game was Diantha, the champion. And her team was actually not really that bad in the context of Generation 6, so I didn't really feel like I wanted to touch that. So, I had a look down at the gyms, and sort of figured out which team would I like to replace, and I found it really hard to pick one. That being said, though, I did, however, end up stopping on the Coumarin City Gym and the gym leader Ramos, and the reason I picked him was because he was probably one of the biggest offenders for me in terms of his gym team. He had 3 Pokemon, but only one of his Pokemon was Generation 6, and that was Go-Goat. The rest of his Pokemon were Jumpluff, which is not even a particularly good Pokemon in Generation 2, and then Weepinbell, of course, a Generation 1 Pokemon, not fully evolved even though it's a Stone evolution. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I feel like the grass typing as a whole, which is the typing we'll be looking at, of course, actually wasn't great in Generation 6, aside from Go-Goats as well. Like, there wasn't that much going on in terms of the grass typing, but there are some really cool little grass type Pokemon that you can get at the level that you'll be facing this gym at, which is the early level 30s, which are actually kind of cool, right? So I felt like it was a bit of a shame that Game Freak decided to opt against using these Pokemon, when actually there was a perfectly good opportunity to use them. So that's what we're going to talk about. So in the original games, there X and Y, of course, Ramos only had 3 Pokemon, but I'm actually going to give him 4, because obviously, as with a lot of these previous videos, I actually feel like they should have more Pokemon. They're the gym leaders, they're the boss battle. So with that in mind, I looked at the possibility of 4 Pokemon and the grass typing in the generation, and it was kind of difficult to pick, so we ended up opting for a rather unusual team. Normally I tend to try and go to fully evolved Pokemon where possible, because of course they have the most challenge, but in this instance it was actually kind of hard to do that. But nonetheless, the first Pokemon we're going to look at is Phantump. Phantump's a really nice little Pokemon in this gen. Being Grass and Ghost is an unusual typing, but it's a really cool typing nonetheless. Pretty decent-ish defensively. Not the best, of course, but it does have some nice resistances to work with. But the typical Willow set is actually not really used here, but I do like this set a lot because it's like really stally and really annoying. On-leash Will-O-Wisp, Leech Seed, Protect with Citrus Berry and Harvest. Harvest is a very nice ability, because you get like a 30-odd% chance of harvesting your item, which is nice with Citrus Berry because it keeps allowing you to be healed up. Leech Seed is also nice for recovery. Will-O-Wisp is to cripple the physical attackers coming in, and Horn Leech to give me a bit more recovery. Protect is nice just to stall out a turn or two if I need Leech Seed or whatever. But this is a really cool set. It's something that I think as a starting Pokemon may not be too bad, because it can really wear teams down right from the get-go. But yeah. I couldn't actually remember if Phantom was possible to attain at this level. I think it actually evolves later. I am just going to check that though, because I always forget. Phantom Evolution. Let me just check, because I'm a bit of a dummy and I forgot. I actually built this team a little while ago, so my memory may be a little jaded. It's actually a trade evolution, so I could have made it a Trevenant. But I feel like in the instance of this, I don't mind that it's a Phantom, because we are still relatively early into the game. We're just approaching the halfway point, and given some of the other Pokemon on this team, I can quite happily budget for this. So, next Pokemon on the list is going to be Pumpkaboo. Now, Pumpkaboo's just as interesting to me. I decided to have a little bit of fun with this set because this could be really interesting. By holding the Violet, it's actually really, really bulky, kind of hard to take it down. With Shadow Sneak, it does actually prioritize really nicely, and Bullet Seed breaks any sturdy users, which is also nice. Decent enough stab. Synthesis, of course, for longevity, and then Explosion just for a bit of fun. Who doesn't love an exploding Pokemon? Especially really, really annoying in a gym match, especially if you're doing a Nuzlocke when a Pokemon just blows up in your face. Definitely not a fun time. Do want to check that Pumpkaboo doesn't evolve at this level because I am a little stupid. It is also a trade evolution, so I could have evolved this one as well. But you know what? I'm okay with not evolving these because these are basically designed to be annoying. They're not necessarily designed to be OP. And as always, I did forget to mention this at the start, but I do not do any EV spreads on this at all. I leave them as non-competitive sets. This is a bit more of a fun, like, team building exercise where we can have a bit of fun with the teams. But yeah, having these two, pretty nice. We don't actually see Phantom at all in the gym leader battles. It's not even in the gym trainers. It's not in the gym leader either. We don't really see a lot of Phantom in the game. Diantha does have a Gorgeist. That's one thing to bear in mind, but other than that, like, we don't really see a lot of Phantom and Trevenant at all. So it's nice to actually have them in this game. Nice to have them included. The next Pokemon might seem a little bit controversial, but I actually really like having it on the team. It's actually going to be Quilladin. Now, obviously, yes, I understand that Quilladin is a starter Pokemon, but if you look at the game historically, it's not exactly like gym trainers haven't had starter Pokemon before, right? When you look at Generation 4, of course, Gardenia had a Turtwig, and also Flint, who is an Elite Four member, had an Infernape, so it's not exactly uncommon for starter Pokemon to be on other trainers, and I honestly feel like with Grass type not being the best generation, or not being the best in this generation in particular, having a Pokemon on, or a starter Pokemon on the team, especially a Grass gym, right, is actually kind of nice. So I'm not against it at all. So we're running Sub-Focus Punch, which is a pretty fun little set, with Leech Seed and Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb, of course, for flying types especially, but also hits the fire types. Bulletproof is a nice ability because it can block things like Shadow Ball and stuff like that. Ballistic moves are actually pretty common in a lot of games. And of course, Leftovers and Leech Seed, meaning that I can sub up as many times as possible. It's a really, really annoying set. Of course, Quilladin being a little bit on the bulkier side. A lot of these Pokemon are more bulky. Grass is more of a bulkier typing in general anyway. So being able to use it quite nicely is always a blessing. Not the fastest Pokemon in the world, and I am running Leftovers and not a Violet because I'm running a Violet on Pumpkaboo. So we've tried to make this a bit of a fun set and have a bit of fun with it. So hopefully this would work out pretty nicely. And the last Pokemon is the only surviving Pokemon from Ramos' team, and that is Go-Goat. Actually got a pretty interesting shiny. I didn't know what Go-Goat shiny looked like, so I've never caught one. But yeah, it's a really fun set with Sap Sipper, of course, having the Grass type. But we're running Life Orb 4 attacks, which is pretty disgusting. This thing has a very, very wide move pool, so it was nice to run it. Bulldoze, of course, hits the fire types. Horn Leech for pretty much stab damage. Aerial Ace is kind of nice because it can actually hit the bug types, which can come against the Grass gym. Bug is actually good against Grass. A lot of people tend to forget that one. And Zen Headbutt's there for poison. So this is the ace Pokemon. This is the one that's really, really annoying, and this was also the reason I kept Phantom and Pumpkaboo as unevolved, because it would have a bigger budget to run a more powerful Go-Goat set. This is, of course, the ace Pokemon, so running Life Orb 4 attacks is going to be powerful as all heck. Horn Leech, of course, gives you recovery as well to mitigate some of that Life Orb recoil, so it's actually a very, very strong set. I think this is probably one of the better ace Pokemon that this gym could have had. This was the other reason I picked it, because I actually liked the ace Pokemon in this. Some of the other trainers did actually have good aces, you know, so it was always interesting to decide which one. But I feel like this is a pretty fun little team. I think this is a much bigger improvement on Ramos' team. Yes, if I wanted to be picky, I could have evolved the Phantom Pun the Pumpkaboo and made a weaker Quilladin set, but like, in all honesty, I kind of like it this way. I like the more bulk, and then I like the power coming in at the end as a decent cleaner. So that's going to be the team, that's going to be what I would do. Let me know if you would change it, what would you change it to, which gym leader would you replace, of course. Definitely would be interested to know. But either way, I'm going to get on out of it, so thank you so much for watching. My name is Bombi Teacher, I'm your coach of the Royal Bomber for Bombies. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.